Sounds wonderful. Tommy, it's so good to meet you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for letting me be here.
Yes, sir. So before we get into your strategies for debt relief, getting rid of the credit cards, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was changing all of our lives. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you approach life today?
Well, first of all, I was isolated. I was in a very small town in the northern part of Maine. And so we had heard about people getting sick in a neighboring city. And my girlfriend said, I'm not going to go there. People are getting sick and staying sick for a couple of weeks. I said, yeah, that's fine. And then I got invited to a party about 4 or 5, 6 months later. And we went to this event, and it was outside, and people were at a distance. And I couldn't figure out because I had no contact with the news or anything. I knew nothing about this thing. And I went, why are people standing apart? Oh, there's a 6 foot rule. I started laughing. And then 6 feet, yeah, 72 inches, 73, 70. Well, who said this? And so a lady came up to me and said, you're a Republican. You just want people to die. I went, what the heck? This was the insanity virus. So
Yeah.
I never got inoculated. And through my research, this is a plan to kill 5.55 billion people because that's how many were inoculated. And so I have an antidote. I'm here to in the Philippines to set up a free self-managed medical care clinic, and that's what we're going to be doing. Is doing a medical test for the D dimer, which is going to tell you that there's a blood clot, so you don't know it. There's also an IgG4 test that's going to tell you your immune system is so compromised you don't even know you're sick. So we have the antidote. We've done it. We'll work on it. I take it every single day. And not, I take the antidote once a month. So it's
Okay.
just simple stuff, ivermectin and HCQ. So
Okay.
glad you asked.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into your work. Let's get into what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of kids. You're in a schoolhouse, they're 12 years old, and one of the kids, it's career day. They're like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Well, I'm a retired teacher and an author, and so I'm always writing. I just wrote a book on how to speak Hiligaynon in 30 days, which I have accomplished. So it's a fantastic new way to speak a new language. So it can be done. And I had when I talking about the kids and stuff like that, I started with the geometry of thinking. So I started showing them about mathematics and how much fun it is, and I put sticks together, and all of a sudden we start making triangles and squares and tetrahedrons, octahedrons, icosahedrons, and I build things that are like with 3 foot long dowel sticks. We'll build a icosahedron that's about 10 feet high, and they climb into it and we roll it around. Then we put an octahedron on top and a tetrahedron on top, and I start talking about how the human body is like these different shapes. And so it's a revolutionary way of thinking. And that's where I kind of got that from Buckminster Fuller. I read his obituary back in 1983.
So talk to me a little bit about your kind of focus on debt relief.
Yes. What happened to me is I wrote a book on health and healing, and in 2003, I was given a infomercial contract. So I was on the radio for about 6 months testing, marketing different strategies. So I lived on my credit cards, and I ran up about 85,000, which is my lot to you, but I was promised about 100,000 a month. And so we're into it, wrapping up our response. It was just phenomenal of what I was able to get through to people on radio. And so one of the talents got in trouble with the FTC, and he made claims in his weight loss book that wasn't true. And so my contract was canceled, and I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt.
So how did you have what was your approach to get out of that debt?
Yes, took about a month of depression and how am I going to get out of the situation? Also, the plan to be a multimillionaire, that dream was shot. So I woke up one morning. I remember my dad, he was a CPA, certified public accountant, and I was in school to be one. I never got the credential, but I can do the work of one. And I realized the bank does not have an invoice. So there is no debt with the bank, and the bank could not have issued a credit card. And then I have a memory in one of our accounting classes of banking. We had to read the book Modern Money Mechanics put out by the Federal Reserve. And in there on page 6, it says that what banks do is they accept your promissory note in exchange for writing numbers into your checking account. So they can write any number they want, but they got to have a promissory note first. So I never signed a promissory note, so I figured out there never was a loan. My father at the time was an attorney and a judge, and we had long conversations about fraud under all contracts. So if you use the card, you have to use you have to comply with their terms and conditions. No, not when they do fraud. So with his encouragement, and I saw a video about a guy suing banks, suing in federal court, and he said how easy it was. So I, on my own, filed 3 federal lawsuits against the banks, and things were going along pretty good. We had a deposition coming up, which means they were going to have to send someone to my office, a bank employee, to answer all my questions under oath, which would be under penalty of perjury. And I don't think the bank wanted that. So all of a sudden, the judge called me in and my father said, that's very unusual. Judges don't call you in and not the other party. So something's up. And so I showed up and said, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? Let me start at the beginning. Well, we'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? Well, it started off as a gift card. A gift card, pull your card out. Pull your card out. And read what it says there. Credit card. You're an idiot. Get out of here. So he dismissed all 3 cases.
Wow.
So there I was, back to $85,000 of credit card debt.
So what was your how did you eventually get out of that debt?
Really? So what happened is a month later, I looked at my credit report and all 3 banks were off my credit report. My credit score improved.
Wow.
Now, wait, how'd that all happen? Well, in my pleading, I explained how the crimes the bank was committing and what they were doing. And I guess they didn't want that to be known. So I could have appealed. That was a dangerous. I could appealed that judge's ruling and it could have been back on track. So instead of having that risk, they just took it off my credit report because where's my claim? How could I say there's a debt if it's not on my credit report? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Where's the threatening letters? It's gone. So that was one way to dealing with me. And so a friend of mine had a charity called Lighthouse of Hope, and it was inactive. So she gave it to me, and I turned into a credit repair. And many of the people had a little bit of debt here and there. And so I would write a letter to the bank, and it would close their checking account. And it was that simple.
Oh, that's wild. So what did you want to be when you were 12 years old?
Let me think here. A diver, actually, yes. I was really into skin diving. I had spent my summers with a YMCA camp on an island called Catalina Island off the coast of Los Angeles. And then I got into scuba diving when I was 13. I was a certified diver. And then at 14, I was actually in a movie. I was playing around in the pool of the dive shop, and then they got a phone call, and they got it from Hollywood. They needed a couple extras, and so my friend and I were sent off to a dive boat to Catalina Island, and we were underwater in a movie. So we showed that movie to our 8th grade class. It was a lot of fun. That's me. That's me in the mask. You can't see anything, but that's
Yeah.
me. And then at 15, I actually had my own motorcycle. I had been an entrepreneur, and so I had saved up money. I bought my own motorcycle, and I had a license to drive a motorcycle. Strangely enough, I drove that to high school to learn how to drive a car. I couldn't drive a car, but I could drive a motorcycle. And then I was a diver at 15, a summer job I had working for Ship Shape Divers. And I was cleaning barnacles off the boats. And I was making about 165 a week when my friends were making about $30 a week at McDonald's. So I was really well paid. And then I ended up being a commercial diver when I was 23. I worked in the Gulf of America, and so I worked out there. And I also worked on tankers and super tankers on from Sacramento down to San Diego.
So,
So
so who's been your hero? Who's been your inspiration? You've done so many things, had so many dreams and ambitions. Who was that inspirational force for you?
well, I would say my dad was the certified public accountant, always straight and narrow, always being this extremely honest and that whole kind of a direction there. And then I would say later on, as I mentioned, Buckminster Fuller, when I was more of an adult, that really changed my mind. I never heard about the guy before, and I read his obituary. Then I read every book this guy's ever written, and some of the books I've read several times. And it's a geometry of thinking. It just puts things together. He's the guy behind a geodesic dome. And that's why I came here to the Philippines, was to teach farmers how to build a dome house with bamboo, free housing, and then also to teach them vertical gardening, which I'm in the process right now of teaching them, showing them how a 4 square feet, 2 by 2, can produce what they're doing in a whole row of eggplant. We call it too long here, but it's an eggplant. So that's what I'm here to do. And then with a clinic, because that's what I had also in America. I had about 5 medical clinics. My wife at the time was a nurse, so we set up a medical clinic. deal with cancer and things like that.
So you've obviously moved around a lot. Did you start out in LA?
I was born and raised in Long Beach, and
Okay.
did a little bit of traveling. We did a lot of things down in Mexico. My dad liked the bullfights, so pretty much during the bullfight season, we were down in Ensenada and Tijuana. So I picked up a little bit of Spanish there, and then traveled around when I was younger. I took a bicycle ride from Portland, Oregon, all the way down the coast, and ended up in Chico, going to school there. Then I went to San Francisco State, and then I've hitchhiked all across Canada, and I've been to China, Singapore, Bangkok, Hong Kong, been Australia, New Zealand, been to all throughout Canada, United States, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and then England, Ireland, Spain, France. So did a lot of traveling.
What was one of the most unexpectedly magical places that you've been to that left a really, really deep impression on you?
Belfast. That's when I was there during 76, 77, and that's
Okay.
when the bombings were. The IRA was very active.
Yeah.
So my wife at the time, I had been married in college, and so that was our honeymoon, was to have a trip to Europe. And so we went to Belfast because I wanted to see what was going on there. And we're at a bus stop. No, we were at a bus station, and a bus driver got out of his bus, walked over to us, and said, "It looks like you're lost." And I'm looking at this map. I'm trying to figure out what bus station I'm at. He said, "Oh, these two have been blown up. You're at this one here." Oh, okay. I said, "I know you're having troubles here. Where do I don't want to go?" "Oh, don't go here and don't go there." Where by the next day? And
Uh-huh.
it was the friendliest people I had ever met. They went out of their way to shelter us, to show us around. We had a tour of the Belfast City Hall, which is very famous for their marble staircase. So it took 2 days of petitioning just to get the tour. And you walk up to the city, and they would pat you down. And the military police wouldn't do that, but the Belfast police would. And then you get past a checkpoint, then you go into a store, and I had a owner come over and pat me down to make sure I didn't have a bomb or a gun on me. So I'd been on a bus, and the troops come in and ask for your papers. And so guns pointed at you. I had a lot of guns pointed at me. So I kind of felt what it was like to be in an occupied country. So I have that feeling. So I have a little more connection to people who are under duress in the country they live in.
So, what has been the motivation over the years for you to wake up in the morning, to do all of this work at a high level, to see the world, to accomplish all that you've done?
Yes, we talk about mind, spirit, and body and stuff, and that's where I have a name, because who are you? And that's one of our four eternal questions: is where did you come from, where are you going, and who are you, and then what's your purpose? So I actually have a name for my mind, which is Concepcion Simplicato, which is Latin to say simple concepts. So I take very difficult things, complex things like credit card debt, and then say it's not really a debt. It's not a debt at all. The bank could never have issued you a credit card. There never was a loan. So all you got to do is write a letter to the bank. You got to prove that there's a crime. So that's your credit report. And so with that, we send that to the agencies that oversee them. So we have to have you be a victim. So you have to complain. So we send that to the bank. So now the bank knows you complained to the authorities, that you have the evidence. And if they don't remove it in 45 days, the credit reporting agencies have to by law. So, and then I teach the people how to turn right around and get a credit card again. And so understanding what the scam is. So it's, first of all, is I take very complex things to make it simple. The other one is my spirit name is Wonderful Healer. I am a healer full of wonder, because when I do my magic, I'm the one shocked and surprised that it actually works. So that's what I'm kind of drives me. And I'm on path with God. God's got me in a mission to do my 3H club, which is hunger, housing, and humanity. And it kind of deals with the opioid drug addiction that happened in that area that I was living in, because the Sackler family, which was behind the Oxycontin, targeted two locations. One was a county in West Virginia, and the other one's the area I lived in. And it had decimated for 25 years. They have been pushing these drugs on these children with end of life drug to painkiller, and they put them to children when they're having a toothache or an injury on a sports team on the field. They were given this Oxycontin, and it's just world. So from my knowledge of detoxification, which I had clinics doing that, I can do this in about 30 days to detoxify the body. It takes about 90 days to detoxify the mind. But what can I do to these people when they're in a toxic environment? So that's my plan, is to go to Argentina to buy a farm, and to offer these drug addicts that are nonviolent an option of leaving the country and to be on a farm and teach them how to be men. They will be there. They're going to have to grow their own food. They're going to have to build their own house. They're going to build their own well. And that's where a community of men will teach them how to be a man. And they can change their name because that's a drug addict's name. That guy died. So I have a new name, a new life. And in 2 years, we can actually get them citizenship with Argentina. So if they don't want to return, they can stay there. So I'm having a wonderful life here in the Philippines, and I will be going down to Argentina and then coming back to Maine, doing like a three circle all the way around the world.
Right on. So if you were to run into yourself at like 16 years old in the dream tonight, going back to your childhood home, and you sat down on the bed next to that version of you and showed him a book of your life, what's happened, where you've been, what you've traveled to, things you've accomplished, would that version of you believe it?
Uh, well, at that time, my viewpoint was either nuclear annihilation, because I was a child that was taught in very early elementary school to drop and duck underneath the desk and to go out in the middle of the uh, hallway and put our hands over our head because that's a nuclear bomb. Well, every Friday, the last Friday of the month, we had a siren go off and tells us that that was the air raid signal to practice doing what we're supposed to do, doing is kissing our ass goodbye from. So I had a very negative point from that, or the other one was fascism. All I saw was Nazism coming, and that was not a very good perspective at all. So yes, if I could sit down, I've actually written a human Occidental, which means Western, so an Occident, human Occidental owner's manual. So when you buy a crock pot, yeah, I tell a story. If I'm given a gift by a girlfriend for a crock pot, yeah, it comes with an owner's manual. It's great how to clean it, and if I don't shock myself and stupid stuff. But if there's a problem, call an 800 number. But it's useless because I don't know how to cook. If it comes with a recipe book, well, then hey, I can make something. And I can maybe I don't like tarragon spice, but I can use oregano instead. So when your mother was born, she was never given, or your dad was never given an owner's manual, and you don't have one either. And I looked it up. No one has written an owner's manual from the 5 years, 5,000 years of existence of writing. So I've written an owner's manual, and it's how I kind of see the world. And so I have a recipe book in my owner's manual of like examples of how do you think, how do you process these things. So that's what I have now. So I would share that with my other self. And the other one is about relationships, is Hoe Math. This guy is on YouTube, HOE_math. And I have not yet found one thing I disagree with the guy. And I'm a doubting Thomas. I don't believe anything that anybody says. So I have yet to find something that this guy has not covered in relationships. So if I knew that about relationships with women, my life would be totally different. I wouldn't be here with my fiance. And that's why I say, if I took a different path, if I focused more on mathematics, I wouldn't be here with you now. So that's the most important thing, is I live in a now. And that's what the Filipino people live. They're in a certain area of the world that has typhoons, earthquakes, they have flooding, they've got volcanoes, they got destruction every generation. Their life has been destroyed and they have to rebuild. So they don't think about tomorrow. All they got is they've got pesos today to buy some food. They're fine. And so they focus on family. And that's what I didn't have in America. I came here to find a family. Now I have a huge extended family. I'll be moving to a farm. She owns a house and things are going great. So we can be traveling the world and doing what I have to do is what God's driven me to do, is take care of the people with hunger, housing, and the humanity.
I love it. So at the end of the day, when you look at everything that you've done, accomplished, and evolved to, what are you the proudest of?
Well, I have two children. He's 37 and 35, so I've done a good job there. I also had a girlfriend for a while, and I raised her son from 2 to 11, which is going to take me a few more years to waiting to be in contacting because I'm just the old boyfriend, so I have no rights. I tried, and so yeah, that was. I've lived a very good life, and my actuarial table say I have 32 more years left. So I'll take another day if I can get it. So I'm looking forward to another 32 more years. So that's my plan. And so I'm completely healthy. I stay away from doctors. They'll kill you. So I've said that to several doctors I've talked to over the years, and so they don't take an offense of it. But they are the third leading cause of death, and especially when they're paid $6 million to inject 6,000 people. The medical profession around the world has got to look in the mirror and see what they've done to people around the world. And that's just it's been a genocide. So that's the plan, is to bring us down to about a half a billion people.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, everyone that gets your books, everyone that knows you, the clinic, everyone around you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, well, first of all, Thomas, which is like a doubting Thomas. So I also have a twin. So there was someone who was born with another name that died. And so I'm now a new person. I got to pick my name and stuff like that. So, and it's from the family. So I'm very happy with an Irish name. I tried to get Irish citizenship, but I can't prove that my grandfather was born in Ireland. So I tried. But yeah, the overall perspective is I have great ideas. Great minds speak of ideas. Most others gossip. So I'm not involved in that. I am moving forward every day. I'm looking forward to things. It's always connections. I believe we have a holy contract. You've heard of holy water and the Holy Spirit, but I also believe that there's a holy contract. So there was a deal you and I made before we got here, and we're born, we forgot everything. So as long as I can keep talking to you, we can figure out what was the reason, what was the purpose for us to cross paths today, now, at this moment, and to share this with which no other podcaster has ever interviewed me like this before. Okay. I've done 120 of these in five months or so. And you're the first to ask these kind of questions, and which I'm very thrilled to be able to answer your questions and be involved with you, because it's not my agenda. It's what you and your audience wants to hear. And you know your audience. So that's why you invited me on. So that's
Absolutely.
what I'm sharing.
This is fascinating. So if anyone wants to pick up any of your books and find out more about the clinic, any of your good work that you're doing, debt relief, all of it, where do they go?
Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook is the easiest way. In the show notes, I'll have a thing there for my email. So I'm retired. I'm hanging out, so I got plenty of time. I offer a free 15-minute consultation. If you take me up on that, I'll send you my $69 book, Forgive and Forget How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt, absolutely free. So the proceeds from that is what I expect to be able to finance what I'm doing here in the Philippines. So that's what I'm up to.
I love it. What a fascinating story. Tommy, thank you, sir. Thank you for your exuberance. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with everything that you're doing and, marriage and everything that's going to happen. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe. Take
Thank you.
care.
Great to meet you. Take care. All right, we're out.